Attention citizens, nuclear strike imminent.
Fallout 76 has hands down the best graphics of any Fallout game ever. Period. A big contributing factor to this is the 16 times the detail meme that we all know and love. The world building of the Fallout series is something that Todd Howard has said that the team always focuses on first when designing a Fallout game. If the world you play in isn't fun to explore or interact with, neither will the rest of the game. This makes it all the more bizarre when they decided to take a game that looks like this and make it look like this. 16 times the detail, but now that detail looks like garbage. Quantum World, the newest world that Fallout 76 presented for December, includes features like the ability to jump super high, negate fall damage, and ups the difficulty of creatures by making them all glowing variants, as well as adding nuked flora into the world. To the mode's detriment though, that also means that we get stuck with a quantum storm, a weather event that bathes everything in this odd bluish-green light, constantly rains, blocks out the sun, and makes the already sketchy graphical lighting of Fallout 76 look even worse. Everywhere I went, the skyline would clash with the edge of the mountains in this really odd way to where it looked more like the objects in the far distance had lost their texture, but it worked because the quantum storm made it seem like it was part of the world. While there are some areas of the map where this doesn't happen and the world looks a little bit more put together, this is still diminished by the fact that it's still fucking raining. Rain in low lighting is not pleasant to look at, it's sad, dreary, and not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a fun time outside. From what I observed, this mode is advertised as a more difficult version of the main game, similar to the Dwellers Must Die update from last month, but with the glowing enemies instead of normal ones with just boosted health. Oddly enough though, I found it much easier to kill things in this mode due to having the Glow Sight perk card, which at level 3 increases damage against glowing creatures by 60%. When you combine this damage workaround with the Marsupial mutation, which is perhaps the most popular mutation in the game, there really isn't much of a difference between Quantum World and the base game. Obviously though, my character is pretty high level, so my experience may be a little bit different than others. If these changes made the mode more enjoyable for you, do let me know down in the comments. To Quantum World's credit though, there are some locations in the game where the world looks a bit more patched together, the graphics work, and you can even get some pretty decent photos taken. Check out the full-size version of these ones on my Instagram, linked down in the description below. For the most part though, while the world is interesting to look at for a little bit, that interest quickly fades away when you realize the biggest draw of the game is a constant Snapchat filter and jumping real high. While Dwellers Must Die had a similar concept, the lighting effect wasn't nearly as harsh, the enemies were an actual challenge, and the atmosphere itself really captured the whole something is gonna jump out at you from the fog and murk you vibe that it was going for. Quantum World doesn't really feel like it has a point, but more like a semi-interesting concept with no real direction. You get whatever this is, jumps like Jordan, and glowing plants. Cool. While I don't think Quantum World is an inherently bad idea, I don't think it does enough to separate itself from Dwellers Must Die, nor does it bring in anything new or exciting that you couldn't already achieve in the main game with a little bit of work. Unlike Happy Builder or High Risk, Quantum World doesn't bring anything different to the table or expand on any of the existing features of the game. Perhaps a world where the player can freely change their visual filter while in-game, allowing them to move around freely with said filter active? Or a randomized world, where spawn locations for enemies are randomized throughout the world, meaning you can run into creatures in locations you normally wouldn't, and perhaps in larger quantities. Of course, these are just my thoughts and opinions on the mode, and what led me to decide not to cover it in the same way I've covered previous worlds. What do you think of Quantum World? Let me know down in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it? I'm really interested to know. Until next time though, I thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all out there in the wasteland.